Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Lizzie Spalding at the Marion County Extension Office, and we are going to be making pumpkin apple muffins.
Yes, we are. Good fall recipe. This is actually a Kentucky Proud plated up recipe, and it's one of the new ones that they released for this fall. So
super.
I thought everybody's always got, pumpkin recipes they use every year, so this would be something different that they could try.
Right, because pumpkins and apples are both really big this time of year.
Right, they're both in season. So.
Okay, and both can be obtained locally.
Exactly, so it's even better.
Yes, we like that. So as we say, it's a plated up recipe, which means that it's kind of somewhat healthy.
Yes, it's a healthier version. It's an adapted recipe, so it's a healthier version of what it was originally.
Okay, so what's making it healthy for us? Well,
we actually are going to use two types of flour. We have got all-purpose flour and whole wheat flour. And the whole wheat flour is good because that we're always encouraging those whole grains are good for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got some baking soda in here to offset the all-purpose flour, because since it's not self-rising, we need that in there. We have got some canola oil, pumpkin, which is good. It's got lots of vitamin A in there, which is good for us. One of those, that orange produce all has lots of vitamin A. We've got some Granny Smith apples, ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon, and then we are using honey to sweeten this recipe instead of sugar.
Right, very good. And eggs.
And eggs, yes. And the honey is also something else that you can get locally. So
that's right.
It's another Kentucky product that you can get.
And if you have allergies, it might even help you there.
Exactly.
Yes. So let's get started. How many will this make with this recipe?
It says it makes 18, but I have made this, and the last batch I made did make more than 18. So
okay.
It varies depending on how big you want to make your muffins.
Okay, very good. All right, so how do we get started?
The first thing, the oven's already been preheated to 325, so that's the first thing you want to do, is put it on there.
Okay.
And we're going to mix our flour base together. So the first thing we're going to put is 1 1/4 cup of this all-purpose flour.
1 1/4 cup.
Mm-hmm. And this is the fun part with all this flour, so you can get it all over you and all over the kitchen.
Super.
Especially if you have kids helping you.
Yes, exactly. So all-purpose enriched flour, what makes that different? What makes it all-purpose as opposed to just some other kind of flour?
Well, there's just lots of different kinds of flour in general, especially if you're a baker. You know that because there's different types you want to use. A lot of the times people buy like those pre-made mixes so they don't worry about it so much.
But adding this whole wheat really helps us too, right?
Mm-hmm. And you can get unbleached or bleached. That's just the coloring difference. And also, like I said, there's all-purpose and self-rising. The self-rising already has the baking soda and salt in it, so you don't have to add that. That's the difference there. So there's just small.
So you learn so much talking with Lizzie every time. Now, you said you have made these before. Mm-hmm. Have you eaten them?
I haven't eaten them yet, so I'm excited to try one today because I love pumpkin. So I was happy that we got a new pumpkin recipe.
Super.
Got that in there. We're gonna, and that was also 1 1/4 cup of the whole wheat. They're equal parts.
Okay.
And we're gonna put 1 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda in there. Like I said, that's in there to help the muffins rise.
It's very consistent with 1 1/4.
I know, it's nice.
Yeah.
Nice measurement for all of them. Got that in there. And our salt, you're going to use 1/2 teaspoon.
Okay. Again, we're making pumpkin apple muffins.
And we are going to add our spices. So our cinnamon, our ginger, and our nutmeg, which are all great fall spices that are used in a lot of things that people bake. And we're going to use 1 1/2 teaspoons of cinnamon.
Oh, 1 1/2 this time.
Oh yeah.
Not 1/4.
Lots of cinnamon. Mm-hmm. But I love that smell whenever it's baking in the oven.
I love cinnamon. Cinnamon's a nice flavor.
It's good just to smell the house whenever, in the fall and winter.
It does give you that feeling of warmth and comfort. We were talking before we started recording here about the winter, and you're not much of a cold weather person.
I'm not a cold weather person, but I love the winter season.
Right. It is a special time of the year, isn't it?
Yes.
I think that's why they jam-packed the winter with all these different holidays, so it gives you something to be
Nothing
happy
better
about.
to do because it's cold outside,
Yeah.
so they thought, let's eat, I think.
Exactly. So how much of this are we putting in there?
We put a half a teaspoon of ginger and a half a teaspoon of nutmeg.
Okay. So we have the predominant spice is cinnamon.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Then we're going to mix that together, just so all those ingredients get good mixed.
So is the whole wheat added to this? Is that part of what's making this a more healthy option?
It is, and
Wheat flour.
also with the whole wheat, it changes the coloring of it because, as you can see, it's brown. You can also buy bleached wheat flour. I like the look of this, but
Yeah, I like the brown. Particularly, as we said, again, with the time of the year and what have you, it's a right color.
you can smell all the spices too as I'm mixing that there.
It touches upon all your senses. Your sense of smell, hopefully the taste, good, and then the sight, would be nice.
And we're going to set that aside for a moment, and then we're going to work on our other mix here.
Okay.
And we are going to combine our honey, and this takes quite a bit of honey because, as I said, that is what sweetens it. It actually takes 1 1/4 cups of honey.
There's another 1 1/4. I like that recipe where it's kind of consistent like that. So we were saying there's no sugar actually in this recipe.
Right.
But the sweetening comes from the honey.
There's a lot of honey in this recipe, but there is no sugar. If you wanted to, you can substitute granulated sugar, and you would put 2 cups of it in instead of the honey. But I like honey, so I prefer it to the sugar.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Like I said, it's a lot, but
I'd imagine, too, the honey makes it potentially a little more moist than having the sugar in it. What do you think?
yes, it would,
Because it
because it
has
is the liquid.
Liquid, which I like moist muffins.
Don't want any dried out.
Exactly.
And then we're going to do, that was our 1 cup. I'm going to do
Okay.
4. Just a little bit more.
There's a lot of honey.
It is a lot of honey.
And as we said, you can get honey locally. There are a lot of people who are keeping bees and collecting honey in our central Kentucky area. So if you want to get some local honey, be sure to contact the extension office in your county, and they can inform you as to who is marketing that honey for sale.
There are some Marion County honey producers, so it's definitely an option.
And there is the potential for some benefits if it's done locally
Right.
for allergies and what have you, but it actually has to be from your area for that potential benefit.
And we're going to put 2 eggs in.
So we already made our dry mixture, and now we're making our wet one, right?
Making our wet to put in there. The next thing we're going to add in is our pumpkin. I'm going to get a rag to wipe my hands real quick.
So how much pumpkin do we have?
You are going to use 1.5 cups. And this is actually canned pumpkin, but you can use fresh pureed pumpkin. That's one of the whole points of the Kentucky Proud. So.
And pumpkins, again, are local, or a
Exactly.
local option. So when you were younger, did you used to carve pumpkins as jack-o'-lanterns?
I did. And I actually haven't done that with my daughter yet. That we have a pumpkin, we just haven't carved it yet. So
Okay, so this will be her first year carving?
we attempted to carve last year. We did have a jack-o'-lantern, but she wasn't much interested in the process. She didn't want to get the nasty on her hands. So she's a girl.
Yes.
Such a girl. She didn't want to get she said that was gross. She didn't want to touch it.
And now that she's a big grown-up 4-year-old, she's ready to try it.
She might be. We'll see.
We'll see how that works. When I was younger, we used to carve the pumpkins and then cook the seeds and eat them
That is a possibility. Roasted pumpkin seeds are good.
with salt.
And then we're going to add our oil in.
Okay.
And we are going to use a half a cup of canola oil.
How much pumpkin did you say?
A cup and a half.
Cup and a half. Okay. And again, this recipe is available by contacting the Marion County Extension Office or the Nelson or Washington County Extension offices, and they'll be able to pass them along for the pumpkin apple muffins.
We're going to mix that together. Looks not so appetizing now, but once it gets mixed, it looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Once you get those eggs in the oil all mixed in.
And this will make, as Lizzie said, it's supposed to make about 18 muffins, but it really depends on the size of your muffin tin, I would assume, you know.
Because some people like to make those mini muffins, which of course those wouldn't take as long to cook, or you can get those jumbo cupcake pans, and those of course would take longer to cook. So it just depends on the size. And also, if you're going to use liners, which I did whenever I made them in the past, so that takes up a little bit of space.
Actually, that does look pretty good there now.
See, it looks a lot better once it gets mixed.
It's actually a nice color.
And it smells good because of that pumpkin and honey.
Yeah. It has some sweetness to it.
And then we're just going to mix this into our dry ingredients.
Okay. That combined in there. Some of this stuff out of the way.
Just going to add a little bit of that at a time.
Remember, we started off by preheating the oven to 325, right? Now, are you mixing or folding this in?
This will get mixed. Our apples will get folded.
Okay. So you'll learn both techniques here
from
Lizzie, right?
Cooking terminology.
Yes. So we're making our dough.
We are making our dough.
Now, if you do like pumpkin, this is obviously the pumpkin apple muffin, but we also did a segment with the Nelson County Extension Office over there, and Dana over there made a pumpkin ice cream pie.
Which I saw, and I really wanted to try that.
Yeah, so you can find that too on our website at centralkytv.com and take a look at that too, and then you can make both the muffins and the pumpkin ice cream pie.
You can have the muffins for breakfast and the pie for dessert after supper.
There you go. That sounds good. And you can still, is the farmer's market still open?
The farmer's market in Marion County is not open. It closed in September, so.
But there's still opportunities to get some local products from different places.
Right, a lot of people set up those roadside stands by their farm or their house. So.
And it's always nice to shop locally. It helps people in our community, obviously, but it also gives you a nice, fresh product to work with.
Exactly. Fresh is always better than whatever you buy in the grocery store because it has more nutrients in it, and just the taste of it is better.
So how long are these going to take once we get them in the oven?
They are going to take 25 to 30 minutes, so they actually bake relatively quickly.
Okay. And then we're going to get a chance to taste them and see how they all turned out.
Just making sure I get all that flour on the bottom of the bow.
Again, you can get your recipe by contacting the extension offices in your local county, and they'd be happy to pass that along for the pumpkin apple muffins. So until these muffins, what's been your favorite pumpkin dish in the past?
I actually have a pumpkin pie that I make every year for Thanksgiving that's pretty good. And I don't say that just for me. I actually have a niece who can eat the whole thing by herself. So
wow.
Which I do not recommend. I have to hide it from her. But it's really easy. It's one that you actually make a pudding mixture for on the bottom. So it's easier to make because it sets in the refrigerator.
Oh, that sounds good.
Then we're going to get 2 cups of Granny Smith apples, which apples are in season, so they are cheaper right now. Two cups of those.
And as we said, right now, the stuff in season with the pumpkins and the apples, this is a really nice dish incorporating 2 of the fall. Now, is pumpkin a vegetable or a fruit? I think I asked Dana that too.
You did. And
I'm trying to remember what she said.
she said it was a fruit.
A fruit, okay.
Yes. And actually, it's kind of like tomatoes. It's one of those tricky things because it actually is a fall squash. It's grouped with that butternut squash, the acorn squash, and so it's in that category. And it's
okay. And squash is fruit?
Squash is a vegetable, so it's one of those things. It's like a tomato is a fruit, but we eat it as a vegetable.
Yeah.
With the pumpkin,
Kind of falls in both.
We eat pumpkin more in dessert food typically, besides the seeds. So.
So it's whatever you want it to be.
Right.
It's a very versatile food.
It's kind of like the zucchini. You know, you use the zucchini bread, and you can make it in different kinds of cakes and breads and things. So it's like that. And that's another vegetable that's good with the cinnamon and the nutmeg and
that's true.
And all of that. So
yes,
we have got our mixture, and so now we're just going to get our cupcake or muffin tin, and I'm actually going to line those. You wouldn't have to. I just don't like to scrape the pan, so that's why. Because sometimes even whenever you do spray it, they still get stuck, and I like for mine to come out nice and round at the bottom. Right. And that is why, even though I use liners, I still spray them because I want mine to come out.
Oh.
Just a
very good.
Little spray.
Huh. Very clever.
And we are going to dump those in here. And you're going to fill those about 2/3 full, which is a little tricky since they've got the apples in there.
Yeah, those apples kind of do bulk it up, don't they?
They do, but once they cook, they're going to get softer. So.
And so it's the Granny Smith apples that we're using, which, go ahead.
And that's just because of the flavor. The Granny Smith apples tend to be more tart, so it's that tartness that you're going to get along with the pumpkin. Kind of made me think even more of fall because the Granny Smith apple, it's like what they use for candy, you know, a lot of times for candied apples. Right. So I thought, well, the pumpkin is definitely fall, and with that reminding me of candied apples, I just thought it was a perfect fall dish.
Yeah. Cool.
So we've got those filled, and like I said, it does say that it yields 18. The last time I made it, it did make more, but just fill those up and pop those in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes, and they should be done.
And then you'll have your pumpkin apple muffins. When we come back, we're going to get a chance to take a look at them.
Yeah.
Great.